Hi everyone, this is Lisa from the Rhinestone World, and in this video we're going to be using our Silhouette Cameo to create a stencil for this custom wood-burned keepsake box. So this can keep letters, notes, or it can be done in a more masculine way for a cigar box. I have my decal cut. I'm just going to go ahead and weed it out. And I'm going to weed this like any other normal decal. And once you get your cut settings mastered, you should be able to just pull up the decal like I did and not have any resistance. If you have resistance in certain areas, maybe some of your settings need to be adjusted. Maybe your blade is out too thick actually, or your blade may just be dull and it needs to be replaced. So always make sure you do your test cuts when you start a project, just to save you time and hassle once your actual design is cut. It's a lot easier to do a few test cuts to figure out what you want, instead of doing one test cut, well, it was kind of okay, and then spend 3 times as long weeding out your design because there were parts of your cut that were weird. Now my design is weeded. Just going to take my transfer tape and cut a piece to cover it. So I'm just going to bring it like this, good size. Now I'm just going to cut this. We'll drop it on here. Let's use my scraper. Now I'm going to be applying this to the box. I still have to paint it, so I'm going to take this and just trim down the sides so it doesn't stick to everything while I wait. Here's my box. I've taken it apart. Here are the little screws. Now this is one of those cigar boxes you can get from the craft store. It'll open kind of like this. But first I need to paint it. So I need to figure out which one is the top. So the bottom one's going to be a little bit deeper to hold things. And then the 2 holes mean that's where the hinge is. So this is how my box will be. This is the front facing me, and this is the back. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to place my decal onto my box so that when I paint, this is a stencil for where the paint won't go. So let's pick this up. And we'll go ahead and place this about here. Now, if you want to measure it, you totally can. I like to use the excuse handmade as much as possible. So if it's a little bit off, I just say, hey, it's handmade. Like this. Perfect. And I'm just going to smooth it one more time to make sure I have a good stick, because I don't want paint to go underneath my decal. Now I'm just going to paint this whole thing. I'll go ahead and start with this. We'll just put some paint right here. I have some water-based acrylic paint. I got it on sale, which is my favorite time to buy paint. So this is like a light pink, something soft, wedding related. Just going to go ahead and brush it on. And I'm doing a little bit of paint at a time because I don't want too much of it and it to start seeping under my decal. But if you do a little bit at a time, you're good. So I'm just going to continue painting throughout the box. And then once I'm done with my first coat, depending on how it'll look, I'll do a second coat. I just finished my second coat, Now this is still wet. I find that peeling up my decals is a little bit easier when my paint is still wet. So I'm just going to carefully take my weeding tool and grab my decal and bring it up. So it may take a couple pulls to get it, but you'll get it. Just going to use some tweezers. And then we'll just go on to the next one. Now my decal is up. I'm going to let this dry completely, maybe touch up a couple areas. Then after this, I just need to paint this edge here. I'm going to put a piece of scrapbook paper in here, so I don't need to worry about paint there. But once I'm done painting and letting it dry, we'll put it back together and then we'll wood burn the top. My box is all painted, and now I'm just going to take my wood burner and I'm going to fill in where the wood is exposed. And this is just a cheap wood burner I got from the arts and crafts store. Nothing super fancy. I have the smaller point on it so I can be more accurate with my movements. So I'm going to work on an outline and work my way in. If it touches the paint, it's not a super big deal. It'll still burn. We use the paint just to make sure we can stay in a good line for all of this. My box is all wood burned, so I took wherever the wood was exposed and I used my tool to burn in there. You can see I have a nice dark look with it, and it has a good texture to it as well if you do this, see this in person. Now I was able to do this using my Silhouette Cameo, some paint, and our FDC decal vinyl. It makes for a great gift or something that you can keep keepsakes in. If you have any more questions, you can email us at info@therhinestoneworld.com.